Hey, what's good, y'all? I want to thank everybody for joining us for episode 2 of the Raw and Reserve podcast. This is your boy Hook. As always, I'm here with the boy Bam. Bam, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, baby. Before we start, Hook, I want to say something real quick, bro. I appreciate everything that I want to tell the people the shit that you do behind the scenes. Like you really put time and effort into this podcast, bro. Like you really like the perfect fucking team player. You know what I'm saying?
I
So before we
appreciate
even get started, I want to appreciate that because this man sent me a t-shirts. This man sending me microphones. This man is doing everything he can to get this podcast to work, brother. And I appreciate you, man. I just want everybody to know that. You know what I'm saying?
it. I appreciate that, brother. One band, one sound.
Word.
All right, so I appreciate that, man. And again, guys, thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be discussing a very, 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 very controversial topic. We're going to be talking about the Bible. Is it a bunch of fairy tales and fables, or is it grounding and guidance? Joining us today is going to be our special guest, Shamika. So, Shamika, tell us a little bit about yourself, sis.
Hello, everyone. I am currently in California, where I am born and raised. I changed a whole lot over the years, but as of right now, if you're following my page, I am a current seminary student. I am a theology major. So I'm basically just in grad school, living the grad school life.
All right, good deal. And a couple things before we get started. First, all the viewers, we need you to react. So you can like it, you can heart it, you can give us an angry face, however you're feeling. Just make sure you react to the post. Make sure you share it. Also comment. This is a very interactive, show. So we do want to read your commentary and certainly respond to it. And also subscribe across all platforms, not just here on Facebook, but also YouTube, Spotify, and any other streaming platform as well. Second thing is there's still the Raw Reserve merchandise giveaway. It ends tomorrow at 7 p.m. So if you haven't already done so, to make sure, there you go, Bam, showing off the goods. So make sure that you go to the Raw Reserve Facebook page. While you're there, make sure that you like and follow the page. Look for the giveaway post. You'll be able to see it when you'll know exactly what it is when you see it. Just find the giveaway post and comment topics that you wish that you want us to discuss in future episodes. Once you do that, you enter to win. The drawing is going to be Friday night about 7:30ish, and I'll contact you, get your information, and I'll make sure that we get that merch out to you. It's really just that simple. So before we go ahead and get started, we do have our tradition here. So we're going to do our pre-conversation shot. Bammy went to the liquor store, so he only got beer. Shamika's drinking water, so I guess I'm solo dolo. So
Typical.
let's go ahead and shout it up, though.
That's holy water.
If you want to call it that.
All right, so y'all ready to go ahead and get this thing cracking?
That's right,
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go ahead and start, man. So Bam, I want to start with you, brother.
What's going on?
Why you don't believe in God, man?
It's a lot of different reasons, but for one, why I don't believe in the people that I see. Why should I believe in somebody that I can't see? Why should I put trust in somebody that I can't see? Why should I put trust in somebody that allow one person to prosper in life and then others to suffer? You got some people are born suffering and die suffering. They born and die at 8 years old, suffering from diseases, all this stuff. And you telling me that that's a person that loves you?
Okay, Shamika, you want to respond to that?
No, I want him to keep going.
But listen, like it's like, they was like, ain't no love greater than God's love, right? They said nobody. I disagree with that. A parent's love, I don't give a fuck how fucked up a child is. A parent would still love their kid. I watched this episode on First 48, right? It was a Memphis episode. I would never forget this shit. This was like some of the most heart-wrenching shit you ever seen. Like 6 people died, right? I think 2 or 3 was adults, and the other 3 was kids. He stabbed one of the kids, right? And they actually lived. So that's how he ended up getting convicted. So when the little child finally came through, the detectives came to him. He was like, "Yo," they was like, "Who did it?" He was like, "Uncle Junior." You know. So he basically was mad with his brother about some shit, but he went to jail. They didn't look out for him, whatever. He got into a fight and it went out of hand. But the point I'm trying to make is the mother of the grandmother, the mother of the brother who got killed, and his girlfriend and all that, she still loved her fucking son. She went into the interrogation room and she was like, she said, "Junior, why the kids?" And he was like, "Because they was there. They saw me." And you know what she did? She grabbed him and she hugged him and told him she loved him and she got him. But you telling me, a God telling me that if I don't live my life the way this Bible telling me I should live, and that I can die and go to hell forever and ever and burn and suffer for eternity, and you want me to believe that he loves me? I can't.
Okay, so I'm going to first preface this by saying, yes, I am a believing woman of God. However, I am a little different than some believers in some senses because I have never in my life tried to intentionally convert someone by using heaven or hell as a reason why. I also do not believe that everyone should believe in the authority of the Bible without actually being a believer first. The Bible is not like a scientific document that is supposed to be pushed up against, or a historical encyclopedia. And unfortunately, some believers use it like that. So whenever they're trying to convert someone, they use a bunch of scriptures and they say, well, these are the reasons why you should be saved. Based on a lot of reading and based on reading other scholars, that's just not how we're supposed to use the Bible. The Bible is actually supposed to only have authority because we give it authority, the believer. Okay. So that's the first thing. I also am okay with people not being a believer. I feel like you have free choice. That is your choice. I believe that there is a thing, I call it a God encounter. Some people call it encountering God. I feel like until you have that, you're not going to believe in the power of God. And I'm also okay with that. So this conversation is definitely not going to go where I'm like just going to refute everything that you're saying, because it just doesn't work that way. You have valuable concerns. And there's a bunch of people that have valuable concerns, even in the body of Christ. There's people in the body of Christ that still have issues with everything that you just said. So this is not a believer or non-believer thing. But one of the things I do want to ask you about is because you mentioned the word love. In your definition of love, how does love show up? What is the characteristics of love? How is that actionable to you?
It's like, love is hard to explain, for one. It's like the compassion, the empathy, the the
Mhm.
the the rapport, the you know uh the possessiveness. That's
Mhm.
my mother, that's my brother,
Okay.
stuff like that. It's a whole myriad of things that contribute to you loving somebody. You know what I'm saying? And when I mean like loving somebody, like I'm talking about like a mother's love, like a son's love, a
Yeah.
brother's love for the brother. I'm talking about love. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to explain as far as I can't sit here and just verbally explain to you what love is, but I know what love is. I know when I love
Yeah.
somebody. You know what I'm saying? I know me when I love somebody.
Yeah.
I become very protective of them. I become very giving to them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, because I want to see good from them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a very emotional motherfucker, believe it or not. You feel
I
what I'm
can see
saying? Like for
I can
real,
see
for real. Like, I get very passionate sometimes. I get emotional. I start, we might drop a tear, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So I know what love is. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't feel like the way the Bible and the way I was portrayed to that as a child.
Yeah.
I don't believe in my, but this me. I don't think that's the right way to if you want somebody to fall in line with what you're trying to tell them. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm going to say this. Everything that you mentioned are characteristics of love. It is a possibility. Just open up your brain that there might be a possibility that there's a creator that does unconditionally love, but also can't remove you from consequence. So it's the same thing like the mother whose son did a really bad thing. He might have still ended up in jail, but she supported and loved him through that. And so if we look at it from that concept, from that umbrella, that let's say God is like a father and you have the availability to
That's
do
how he's described. That's how he's described, though.
yeah, but that's only one metaphor of God. There's a
Yeah,
bunch,
yeah. It's a
right?
bunch of them. Yeah.
Yes. But let's use that one since you use that one in the secular world, right? If we're using that for a spiritual father, then that means we still, as children of God, can do whatever we want to do. So that answers the question of when people do bad things, how come God allows it? It's because God allows for us to do the good and the bad. And sometimes there's major intervention and sometimes there's not. And so we really have to think about who we think God is in relationship to us. And everyone thinks differently. Some people think God in relationship to us is like a puppet master and we're his little puppets and we move around as he moves us, right? Some people believe God is kind of just like a shepherd. He's here, he creates things, and then he just lets you go, and then he brings you back when you mess things up, right? And then some people think there's some intervention, but not a lot. So it really just depends on how you think God is in relationship to you. But what I'm hearing you say is the church that you grew up in or the people you've been around has misrepresented God's love. And that's different than who God actually is. That just means someone misrepresented who he is.
And the people I encountered throughout my life.
But that's what I'm saying. And so I think a lot of people have that experience, even believers, that there are people that misrepresent who God actually is. So then we internalize all of the bad things associated with humanness because their humanness made you feel this way.
They open the way they present it to it, they open it up for that. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's opened up. They open it up for that. You know, so I don't knock it. I get it actually. I actually get it because without you, without no law, there's no order, for one. You know, so people have to have consequences for their actions, and a lot of that came through religion and all or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Prosecutions or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like you say, all the representations of God. You got some people that believe that God is just everything. You know what I'm saying? You know, the sun is the most powerful thing that exists for us. Without the sun, we would die. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people worship the sun. You know, and let people be like, yo, I have these dreams about Jesus, and I know that I'm like, yo, would you dream about a car if you never seen or ever heard about a car in your life? You know, you have these people that like they be in accidents and they say they saw Jesus. If you never knew who that motherfucker was, would you have had that dream?
But I think one of the things, Bam, is like is that a key word that you'll hear when talking about the Bible and religion is faith. And what you just
faith is what is faith based on?
Right. What I'm saying though is like
what is faith based on?
But I'm saying for me,
hope.
That's what you just said. That's the literal definition of faith. Like not having all the answers, not knowing 100%, like, you know, what's going to happen in the afterlife or if this person even exists, but choosing to believe anyway. You know, and just like you got a choice to not believe, you know, we also have a choice to actually, you know, believe in it, right? Just a couple things that y'all mentioned. And I know for me, one thing that growing up I had an issue with, that I still have an issue with, is that people in a lot of churches I've attended, it's like they have more love and loyalty for man. And by man, I mean the pastor. You know, they'll
Right,
live and die
right.
by the pastor. If the pastor is mad, they're mad. If the pastor leaves the church, they're going to leave the church. So it's all about the man instead of the actual, you know, church and God and everything else. So that's something I've always had an issue with because I've never fought like I go to church because I listen to the word, but like I don't necessarily need them to explain it to me. My reading comprehension skills are pretty superhuman level, so I can read and understand myself. But I go to hear somebody else's interpretation because I want to see where it's coming from. And I may not challenge them right then, but I do have questions. And I'll talk like, you know, like I know me and Bama have a conversation. I know Shamika's open to having a conversation, but the way that we dialoguing right now, everybody's not willing to do that. Secondly, something else that was said, because we talked about, Bam and I talked about, like in the past, like we go back to slavery, right? I know one of the issues you've had, Bam, is that if God loves Black people so much, why did he allow us to live in slavery for 400 plus years, right? And then that same Bible that Black people now throw in other Black people's faces is like, that's the same Bible that the slave owners used to keep slaves subservient. You know,
Yes.
they whoop their asses Monday through Saturday. Then Sunday, here it come. Oh, this is why you need to be the end God this, God that, and we adopted that. But how can you preach me the word about this being that supposedly loves us to no end, but you still treat me the way you do?
And not even and listen, not even that. Like slaves wasn't even supposed to be able to read, right? Right. And then, so you
Okay.
see how they seen how they did the stuff, and but not even that. It was a saying. You remember that saying? I know y'all probably heard it. When the white man came, we had the land, they had the Bible. When the white man, they taught us how to pray with our eyes closed. And when we opened our eyes, we had the Bible and they had the land. You know what I'm saying? And these are people that these are actually, you know, quotes from, you know, and it's like, and that's real shit. Look at the colonizations of Africa. Look at the colonization of Africa. What colonization is an educational word for we went through and we fucked shit up and we took control of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We made you denounce everything you fucking believe. We chopped your fucking kids' heads off in front of you. You know what I'm saying? They did that shit in the Bible. Look at the Old Testament. The Old Testament ain't nothing but religious wars. And then you telling me, oh, okay, I'm God. I fucked up. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna sacrifice my son and goddamn. The stories to me is allegory. You know what I'm saying? It's good. You could take some of it, but a lot of it's bullshit. It condones slavery. It has a lot of shit in there that it's just, it don't, you know what I'm saying? I take pieces of it and I take a lot of bullshit I don't. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of good sayings at the Bible that I can actually apply to my life. You know what I'm saying? So in the Bible is a control tool, man. And people don't know, right? The most unconscious practice religion, I mean, in the world, to me, is profit. Wanting more. And that's what that Bible, you saying with the preacher, why the fuck is the motherfucker gonna tell me how to live my motherfucking life? You know that song, Solange had a song. She was like, a king is just a man. And when he cut, he bleeds just like you do. So who the fuck are you? I even heard this guy say, you don't have to tell no species how to be them. You don't have to tell a goddamn cheetah how to be a cheetah. You ain't got to tell an ant how to be an ant. You ain't got to tell a horse how to be a horse. It's in them. You know what I'm saying? So who the fuck? I get it. Morals, principles, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, respect, and you know, stuff like that, karma, all that stuff I get it. You know what I'm saying? But don't tell me, don't use no bully tactic to get me to submit to somebody that I can't fucking see.
Gotcha. Understood. Shamika, I'd love to hear your response to some of the things Bam said.
Okay. Well, there's a lot because you guys mentioned a whole lot of things. So let me first touch on yours where you were talking about church culture. Um, I'm going to say this, and I have said this a few times, and I think I'm going to speak about it a little bit more. We have to remember that there's a human aspect to all of this, and we somehow like don't want to recognize the tension of humanness. So like when we're talking about religion and spirituality, that's a different concept of who we are fleshly in our bodies. So when we're talking about church culture, there's a lot of things that are going to happen that's just human nature. And then we use the spirit to combat the human nature. So when you're talking about loyalty to certain leaders, or that has to do with our natural need for human connection and our natural desire to look up to people and to give reverence to people. In the body of Christ, in the church, it is supposed to be more communal. However, astronomically in the Black church, this has not happened a whole lot in other cultures, but in the Black churches, we like hierarchies. So our
Joel Osteen.
well, no, he's just, well, that's a whole different subject. But I'm saying if we're talking about just cultural makeups in the Black church, we typically have titles and hierarchies. And so that is a cultural thing that we have that we struggle with. So when you see people that are like very loyal to the pastor and will excuse things, that's a human thing. We absolutely know that's wrong. And even being inside the church, we know it's wrong. We know that it should not be that way. And so that's that. Slavery is a huge topic. What we have to understand is that there's a such thing as just men being evil. There just is.
That's just human nature. That's human nature.
Yeah, there's just men that are going to run around the world and they're going to want more. They're going to rape and pillage. That's what you say. They rape and pillage, right? And so when we're talking about slavery, two things. First, slavery was just part of man evil. And so when we're talking about that in the Bible context, we have to remember that that was first century where slavery actually existed. So in order for them to talk about subjects, they had to talk about it in the existence of what people were already dealing with. All over the Bible, in the Old Testament to the New Testament, it actually talks about not having slaves. There's so many times where the religious leaders are urging people to not have slaves. And then when you get to the New Testament, it's all the way through it. It's like, hey, these are now your brothers and sisters. So the way that American slaves were held was that they took the Bible and they took pieces out of it. That created lack of knowledge for some slaves. But let me tell you how God works. The first biblical theologians that were Black, they were able to read. It's a misconception that all slaves couldn't read. There were a lot of slaves that were really intelligent and they were used for business.
But there's a lot of misconceptions that Black people wasn't here already.
Well, yeah, but they were here. There were free Blacks already because slavery used to function differently. Slavery used to be like you do it for 7 years.
It was a war thing. It was a war thing.
Yes.
But it's a war thing, yeah.
When they brought it over, so we're talking about the way we know American slavery now. When there were actual Black ministers, pastors, evangelists that actually taught over not only slaves, but they taught over slave owners. And when they were reading the entirety of the Bible and going through scripture, there's early Black converts, like Black people. It didn't matter if the slave owners were forcing them to be in church. Some of them were not converted to Christianity. There's a misconception that we were forced to believe in Christianity. The history books do not say that. What the history books say is that they actually read it. They actually heard the word of God, and then they had their God encounter.
It's existing today. It's existing today. Look at the billions of people that are fucking Christians. You know what I'm saying?
But there's a difference between being Christian by name because your mom is a Christian, And because that's a whole different structure, because there's a but Catholicism is actually Christian. So if you think about the Catholic Church and how big it
Too
is,
many fucking titles. There's too many fucking titles.
but I'm saying the Christian church is like this umbrella, and in other countries, you are born into the church. So sometimes there's statistics that aren't real. Though some of those people are not believers, they're just under the umbrella. So that's a whole different topic. But there were early Christian converts. There were people that had their own God encounter, even in slavery. And that's why they were fighting for their freedom, because when they were reading in Exodus about the Jewish people being exiled, they said, there's no way God would free my soul and not free my body. So they had a whole different hope that we don't hear about in Black Christianity. They were the beginnings of us actually really loving the Lord and believing the Lord would free us. The beginning theologians that were reading the Bible and preaching the word. So yes, did the white slave owner mean it for evil? Yes. But what really happened was God did what he had to do, and he poured out his spirit. And there was a bunch of Black slaves that were like, hey, we're going to fight against you because this is not right. So that was the beginning of the rebellion. Actually, the beginning of the rebellion was the fact that they gave us a Bible to begin with.
Right.
But what about all these other religious deities and that has the same story as the Bible, but they predated them thousands of years.
Who predated?
I'm saying that the religious deities like what is name? What's don't tell me the Indian motherfucker.
Buddhist?
No, the Indian Krishna. You got Krishna of India. The same storyline. Born of immaculate conception, walked around, performed miracles, died and rose. You got Dionysus of Greece. Same fucking story. You got Horus of Egypt. Horus, Horus the sun god or whatever. Same fucking story. Immaculate conception. You know what I'm saying? All these motherfuckers predated the same shit. All the motherfucking religious documents that are left here that we know about kind of coincide. From the Bible to the Quran to the Torah to all these, you know what I'm saying, different books.
So let me let you in on something, because this is something that I just learned as well. A lot of those religions actually speak to the same God, but they have different prophets of how. So some of this, a lot of this is cultural. Some of this is using different names for the same deity. And some of it is just, let's make it close enough to Christianity because we know we can confuse the people. So you can.
Well, they needed it to be one so they can start warring against each other, because most of the time it was just religious wars.
Exactly.
So you've heard of the councils of Nicaea, right?
Yeah.
You've heard about that. You know about that story.
Yeah.
About how they had all these high archbishops that came through, that they wanted to form this one religion so that everybody can come under one umbrella. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who didn't disagree with what they was doing, they off the motherfuckers.
Yeah, they did that quite a bit.
And they because you know imagery plays a big part into how people think. You know what I'm saying? You know, I say this all the time, Hook. Whoever controls your perception of God controls your reality.
But should someone
else your perception is your reality. You know what I'm saying?
True. But so what I'm saying is that no one else should control your perception of God.
But it's how you raised though.
Yes, but we're adults, and you see how you're using your brain to ask all these questions. And so as an adult, that's what we should be doing. We should be doing that inside the church. We should be doing that outside of the church. You should challenge everything. You should intellectually challenge everything. And the reason why you should do that is because then it allows for you to stand 10 toes down, maybe on the thing that you were taught or maybe not. And so maybe the urge should be that people should see God for themselves so that they get an encounter for themselves, so that they can learn the character of God for themselves. Because it is true that a lot of people have lied about who God is and who he is to us.
I just don't believe in none of it. I just, you know, because the age-old question is that how the fuck did we get here? Nobody would know because we wasn't there. We could all only just You know what I'm saying? And the easiest way to put it is a motherfucker came through and goddamn earth, fire, wind, water, heart. As our powers combine, I am Captain Planet. You know what I'm saying? That's you know what I'm saying? Like that's the easiest way to put it, but I think it's way more complex than that. You know what I'm saying? I
But
know it is.
even if
And
it is, let's say
I
it
just
is.
don't think it's no one person just looking over everything.
Let's say it is more complicated than that. Let's say it is. Let's say we don't have the right idea about creation, or we don't have the right idea about how we're supposed to relate to creation. What we do know, the fact is that we're on this earth, we're here. What do we do with that? What do we do with the fact that we already exist? Because
We
that's the
fucked up.
conversation.
We fucked up. We fucked up. There's too many shit going. We fucked up. Let me tell you how I think this religious shit started. Right. I think we formed scientifically some kind of way. Right. Humans came about. Whatever. And I think it was like the biggest and the strongest survived. Right. You know.
Naturally.
Naturally. Like you know how it is in the jungle. The biggest and the strongest survive. But with humans, we 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 got the power to use our minds. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think it's a motherfucker that came through because you can only control somebody so much with brute force. It's another motherfucker gonna come fuck you up. But a mind can control millions. You know what I'm saying? Look at Adolf Hitler. Look at Gaddafi. Look at any dictators, anybody. A mind can control millions. They could be the most smallest, littlest motherfucker.
Donald Trump.
You're right. They could be the most smallest, littlest motherfucker. But look at, I'm gonna give you a prime example. This nigga here, I really don't like him too much, but I kind of do. Charleston White, right? He
Yeah.
got a lot of following because you know why? He talked that shit that people want to hear. You know what I'm saying? People are engaged. They know he's gonna say something crazy, and he can actually engage a whole group of people. They'll sit there and listen to him talk all fucking day.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I felt like it's a little motherfucker came through was like, yo, these motherfuckers going right here. As soon as I get a kill on a fucking gazelle, here come this motherfucker big ass nigga come beat me up and taking my meat. You
And
know what I'm
there's
saying?
yeah,
But I'm
there's
telling this motherfucker like, here, look, you play this motherfucker here. I'm telling you, you get all the meat in the world. Just follow what I do.
yeah.
And now I'm gonna show you everything that I'm doing. And now you gonna sit there, OT, OT, and I'm gonna
Okay,
use
so
this.
okay. So
I know, I'm not. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. You feel what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I get
I
what
don't know
you're
if I'm making
saying.
sense.
But let's put religion to the side then. Let's
Yeah.
say we're not talking about religion right now. Let's say we're talking about just social structures, right? Because that's what you're talking about. That there had to
Right,
be a
right, right,
structure
right.
and an order. A lot of times we respect social structures because there's a difference between what our morals are, which are personal convictions, and ethics, which is socially acceptable. We see that in almost every single
Yeah.
subject that comes about. We start to learn people's ethics, like what does the big group think is right, and then that's pretty much the standard. That's ethics. And so when we're even if we're talking about religion, all the millions of religions that are around the world, there is the social ethics, which have to do with what happens in our culture and institutions. And then we have moral ethics. If you look at any religious set of information, they all are separate. The morals are separate, different of the ethics that we have in our natural world. And whether you believe in religion or not, sometimes it is really, really difficult to create a set of morals that are
I get it.
universal.
I get it. I get
So
it. I get it. I get it. That's what I'm saying. I get it. But I'm just one of the motherfuckers. You're not gonna piss on me and telling me it got that raining outside.
who peed
You know
on
what I'm
you?
saying?
Who peed on you?
I'm just saying.
No, I'm
You know what
saying
I'm saying?
but who peed on you, figuratively speaking? Like, because you're saying it as this overarching theme, like God peed on you. And
No, no,
did
no.
he?
I'm not saying. I'm saying like the way I look at shit now. They were just telling me some shit because that's what they believe because that's what they was taught. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Whoever controls your perception of God controls your way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they thought. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do this. you know what I'm saying, go to church. So they make you feel bad when you don't go to church.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the same things because even though Bam and I came from like the same pretty much religious background, you know, it's like growing up, that's what we were. We were taught not to question God. You know what I mean? So like whatever the Bible says, whatever the preacher says, that's what we go with. When we ask questions, we got scolded, we got disciplined for really not. They thought they saw it as being disrespectful, but in reality, we really wanted to know. We were inquisitive. And to your point, what you guys were talking about earlier, my wife and I had a conversation the other night, like because we, you know, go to church pretty much every Sunday, and we're like, honestly, we ain't 100% confident that when our name is called and we die, like that we're going to heaven or hell. We don't know, you know, like we're doing all these things and we're trying to do. I think I'm a really good person. I think I'm a nice person, but at the same time, like it's not up to me whether or not I get into heaven or not. You know, if something happens, you know, I'm going to be judged. You know, and I can't say with 100% certainty that I've done enough. I know I'm not the worst person in the world, but I still can't say with 100% certainty that I'm going to get into heaven. And there's
I'm
a
a
comment,
fucked up motherfucker. I'm
yeah,
a fucked up individual.
and there's a comment that kind of speaks to that. Everett says, "What happens if you believe in one religion and in the end it's the wrong religion, and now you're going to hell? What determines the right religion?" Any thoughts?
Right,
Okay,
right.
so I'm going to answer that, and this is going to be a little controversial. And for whoever watches this on my page, it is what it is. Um, when I talk to people that are not believers and they are in a space where they actually would like to, they want to inquire and they want to believe, my advice is always that you sit in prayer and you earnestly ask over and over if you believe in prayer, and almost every religion does. And so you pray about that, because the truth of the matter is a lot of churches put you in a heaven or a hell, but a lot of churches, they do not know what gets you into heaven or to hell either. And the truth of the matter is, the Bible is not super explicit about it in a whole lot of places. So it talks about sin, it talks about certain behaviors, but a lot of those things are like a linear line. That means like you kill someone and then you keep killing someone over and over and over and over and murdering them. You know, so it's a slippery slope. And so what humans try to do is we try to create like a box for God. Like, well, if you do these things, then that means you're a sinner. If you do these things, then that means you're on the outside of God's bubble. There's not, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. There is literally, even when Jesus was walking the earth, there is not a whole lot in the Bible that is going to give you a linear line to heaven or to hell.
I don't believe Jesus ever walked earth.
And that's fine. But I was talking to someone who asked about religion.
There's no remains of anything for anybody who ever existed in the Bible. There's no, you know, you got Egyptians who got mummies and shit that's buried from, you know what I'm saying? But you have no physical evidence of anybody that ever existed in the Bible. None.
Well, again, we're also talking about you, and what most people do is when they don't believe in something, they poke holes at the logic. Spiritual realities have no logic, and we have to remember that as well. You are not going to be, even if you are a Bible scholar, there's going to be some places where you have to say, I have no clue, because that's the truth. And if we're more honest about that, I think that a lot more people,
You can't argue the truth.
well,
You can't argue the truth.
truth
I'm
is,
not gonna argue that your name ain't Shamika.
yeah, but truth is relative.
You know
And
what
I
I'm saying?
think people that believe in their truth believe that their truth is the only truth.
Yeah.
And that goes for believers and non-believers. That goes for different religions. Like there still is a spectrum of truth. Very little things are absolute truths.
Yeah, absolute truth. That's the word. Absolute
What you
truth.
said, Shamika, I think, you know, we need more of that. You said, like, when you're asking these questions, you know, I think what a lot of these quote unquote Bible thumpers have to do is just say, you know what, I don't know, I have no clue. You know, but it's, you know, it's, if they read the word and if they feel they understand it, they're going to give you an explanation. But if there's a question that you ask and they have no idea, they're going to say, just trust God, just trust the word. And I think that's what we always got to. And I think like you're a little different than we are because if you don't mind me saying this, you said that before you followed this path of theology, you were an atheist. So you didn't actually, with us, we grew up with people in the church and people telling us how to think and what to think and all these other things. So that does kind of taint things for us a little bit because we were already told how to think. So now we have to decondition ourselves from thinking that way so that we can finally think for ourselves.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. Yeah. A lot of people do, being the fact that we are taught that all our life, a lot of time people only come to God when they're at their lowest point in their fucking life. When they really just finally decide to get saved. I've been to jail, prison a couple times, whatever. Right? So I know a lot of people. This is 50 Cent said in a song, I used to always say this to people in prison. Gangsters get religious when they start bleeding, saying, Lord, help me, because their ass leaking. Yeah. He was saying when the motherfucker gets shot, that's the same thing I can say in life too. When you at your lowest point, you're bleeding, you're leaking, and you know what I'm saying? Now you want to come because that's your last fucking resort. You don't have anything else. And I think that helps people keep their sanity. You know what I'm saying? I think that alone helps people keep their sanity. So I'm not mad at it, but I'm different. You know what I'm saying? I know I have to accept my reality, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I look at life like this. Good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. It's fucking life. Never underestimate the predictability of stupidity. What somebody else can do to you or nothing. Never underestimate. It's life. It's life. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that people need that sometimes to hold on to keep their sanity because everybody ain't mentally strong.
Well, okay, so I'm going to push back on the whole mentally strong thing because whether you are atheist, agnostic, or you are religious, a lot of people believe because they don't believe in God that makes them stronger than people that do.
No. Because it's mentally weak. Atheist people too. But I'm just saying, me mentally, I look at shit like this. If something was to happen to me right now, and I catch 40 fucking years in prison, right? A lot of people will kill themselves. When people get that much time, they automatically put them on suicide watch. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people might have faith in God, which keep them sane as far as like, God's going to get me out of here. I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to keep doing my due diligence as a person as far as like going out trying to fight my case, whatever. But then you have the other ones, you know what I'm saying, who just can't deal. And they take their life. You know what I'm saying?
There's believers that can't deal either. And so that's because you made a statement that like sometimes people hold on to religion because that's what they need to get through. And I do think that is true for some people. I do think for some people. I do think there are some people that have a genuine spiritual encounter. And so
but you know what people say though? You gotta believe in something.
But the thing is, I
believe in me. I believe in me.
That's what I'm saying. You do. You believe in you, and you believe in your brain, and you believe in your cognitive ability, and you believe in your physical ability. So there is a belief no matter what. And so that's why conversion all the time does not come by just trying to look through the Bible and say, here's the scripture that's going to save you. My job is to share the good news that Jesus died for you, forgave all your sins, and you can make it to heaven. If you don't receive that, and if you don't receive that, that's okay. Because I did what I was supposed to do.
Look. You gonna sacrifice, I'm gonna sacrifice my son for everybody? I'm gonna kill the motherfucker who I got a problem with. The devil, I gotta kill him. He gotta go. He gotta go. You the all knowing and you know everything, but you ain't know this nigga was gonna betray you. You ain't know this shit was gonna happen. And then on top of that, you giving all of your kids that don't follow your path in life, whatever, however you want to say it, and you're gonna send them to hell with him, with the enemy. You're gonna let your daughter go stay at Uncle Lester's house.
If that's
You're
what you
gonna you're
believe,
gonna let your daughter, you telling your daughter, stop fucking up. Stop doing this, stop doing that. I'm telling you, if not, I'm gonna see Uncle Lester. You know what Uncle Lester gonna do.
yeah, but the crazy
And
thing
then you gonna turn a
is
blind eye. You gonna turn a blind eye. I told you shit.
no.
Goddamn, burn the hell.
Well, but the crazy thing is you're spouting out every single thing that someone taught you in church that was actually wrong about the character of God. So you still are in belief of what you were taught. You
No,
have
no, no,
not shaken.
no, no, no,
Hold on.
no.
No,
It's more than that. It's more than that.
I
I can go
understand.
on. I can
I'm
go on.
listening to what you're saying, but as you're talking, you have certain convictions that are attached to the truth of God that you think is the truth of God based on what you were taught. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is you already have said that you believe that you weren't taught right. So that means all of those things that you just said, there is a strong possibility, and I'm almost 100% sure that all of those things are wrong about the character of God. What was portrayed to you was wrong about the character of God.
So
But because you were indoctrinated,
what's so so my thing is like this here. So you are you saying you're religious? Are you religious?
what do you mean when you say
Are
that?
you religious? Are you religious? You know what the meaning of religious is. Are you a religious person? Do you believe in
Uh,
religion? Do you stand by religion?
the structure of religion, like the institution, the
Yeah,
churches.
yeah. I mean, of religion. How whoever you go, whatever church that you go in, do you believe in that? What he's saying, what he's spurting out, because he used the Bible as his basis of information. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
I,
but I'm saying, does the Bible and reality coincide? Basically, what I'm trying to say.
does the
The
Bible coincide?
Bible and yeah, the biblical, however you want to take it up. Do you believe in the Bible totality, or do you got questions about it?
I have questions about it. I think it's healthy to have questions about it, whether you're a believer
But
or
what
not.
makes you? But what makes you so passionate and believe in what you believe? Like, I'm trying to understand what are you trying to defend? Are you
I'm not
trying to defend the Bible? Are you trying to defend Christianity? Or are you trying to defend a religion?
no,
Like, what?
I'm there. So I'm trying to defend what I know to be true about God. Has nothing to do with
And what's that? And what's that?
that the same a lot of people because you're talking
No,
about
no, 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 no. I'm talking about, what do you believe about God? What is your concept, or whatever you, however you want to put it? What do you believe about God?
that he's a redeemer
And
and
you
that
believe this is one person that overlooks everybody.
say it again.
You believe it's one entity that looks over everything.
Yes.
And is it any consequences for not believing in that? You believe in hell?
I believe there is one. Yes.
I definitely can't agree with you on that.
And that's fair. But you also don't
I
believe that
believe,
there's a
I
God.
believe, I believe
So,
hell is what you go through, and heaven is what you make it.
and that's fine. I'm not saying that you have to agree with me. I only
No, I'm just trying
question
to get an understanding of where you're coming from, because it's like you're talking about, how I believe in my angles and my points or whatever. I'm trying to figure out where you, like, what's your belief in the whole thing, like, you
yeah,
know what
no,
I'm saying?
I believe in the authority of the Bible. But I also am smart enough through reading it to understand that there are contradictions that need to be questioned. There are hard topics, there are stories in it that need to be questioned. That so I'm not one of those people that go to church, sit on a pew, take exactly what the pastor says, and then that's it, that's all. And I never question, I'm just not. And I don't think any Christian should be that kind of person. Church has a specific function. Church should be community. You should come in and have a place inside of the community. You should learn from other teachers. Different people have different talents. There should be, church has a specific function. But unfortunately, like we were talking about earlier, sometimes men take church and they do things that are quite evil with them. And we've heard all the stories. We've heard about the cults. We've heard about the sexual abuse, the
And the
physical.
Bible has been the backbone to all of that.
No, but it hasn't. People can choose to do with what they want with the information that they have. People can take certain scriptures.
Back then it was different. It was
them.
different though. It was different for a lot of people. It was different. People died because of that shit. People died because they didn't believe in that shit.
I'm aware.
People lost their life.
And
These people that came through and conquered America.
There are people still dying.
They live and die by that fucking book. They use that. They live and die by that book. That book is like the fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's allegory. It's allegory. Use it for what you can use it for. It's films, it's tales. You get something from it. It's no different from me reading a novel and me getting something from it. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's dealing with reality. You know what I'm saying? It's a good book, but it's a fucked up book too in a ways.
Yeah, and that's
but,
okay.
But I'm like, I get it. But me, I just think differently. And the way I think, and the way people, because a lot of Christians, a lot of people, they're, especially the old people. You don't believe in God? Oh my God. They automatically do not like me. They automatically don't know I'm that guy. If a white person disrespect you in the grocery store, I'm gonna fuck that motherfucker up. They don't know that I'm protective of our people. You know what I'm saying? Like I value our black people. I value our culture. I value us. I'm that. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a book to tell me that. The stuff that's in the book, I can use it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that this is, in all honesty, this is something that we can, and this is a great conversation, right? And I think this is something that can go like all night, right? But I know we're running a little short on time. I know this is something we're gonna have to revisit. I know we're gonna have to come back to it.
I like you, Shamika. I like you. We definitely got to get you back on this motherfucker. I like you, man.
Absolutely, no, definitely. Because an hour is not long enough to discuss something like this. But really, what the point I wanted to do was really to get the conversation going and let people know it's okay to agree. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to agree to disagree. But the conversation needs to be had. But Shamika, before we head out, I want to get your final thoughts on the conversation that we just had.
Okay, so I'm going to speak directly to the believers of God. I think that we need to do a really good job of using our Christian tools. We need to do a really good job of centering ourselves spiritually by praying, fasting, reading the word, so that we are not offending, hurting, and scarring other people. That is believers and non-believers alike. Although there's a whole bunch of things we could talk about culturally and socially that are issues, it's your job to make sure that you are upholding the character of God and you are embodying it. And it's important that you do so. So I'm just going to say, like, this is your business. You need to make this your personal business, that you are good representation of God here on earth, so that people can see him for real, because there's a lot of people that haven't experienced him.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Shamika. And Bam, let's get your Bamism, man.
Man, it's like my coin phrase, religion and reality don't go together, whatever. But I feel like this, like I told you, bad shit happen to good people, good shit happen to bad people. I think once people can accept the real brutal honesty of this world, if they can accept it, then they can deal with whatever comes their way, and they can understand this world more. And I feel like without the burden of you going to hell, you would live so much of a more carefree life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe in that. I believe when you're dead, you're done. Clock out, You know what I'm saying? You ever go in that deep sleep and you feel like you slept 5 minutes, but really you slept 8 hours? You know, they say sleep is the cousin of death. I really think it's in some shape or form of that. It's like you blank out and it's over with. You feel what I'm saying? So that's my belief in life, and I just live my life like fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to voice my opinion. I'm gonna say what I say. I'm gonna live my life without anybody criticizing me, and fuck what you say. But I respect everybody's opinion. I'm a lovable person. I'm a good guy. Don't look at me because I don't believe in that as a bad person. I'm still a good person. I just don't believe in that.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the things that I can appreciate about both of you guys, because all I'll say is we're not in the business of trying to convert people. It's simply a conversation and dialogue that needs to happen. Oftentimes, people who share completely different opinions about religion, they don't want to come together and at least talk about it, because most Christians I know, they want to try to convert, this atheist or somebody, this non-believer, and then the non-believer's like, fuck what they talking about, I don't want to hear it. But the key thing here is we all came together, we had a conversation. We're not trying to solve anything or reinvent the wheel or anything like that. We simply want to open up the dialogue, and we definitely deserve more of this. And Shamika, if you're open, we are going to be reaching back out to have a sequel, so to speak, because I think there's a lot of things. I know there are a lot of things that both of you have left unsaid because you were kind of warming up to each other, but now that you had that bit of a connection, you kind of know how you want to, what direction you wanted to go in. So if you're open, we'll be glad to have you back on. But this has been phenomenal, a really great conversation. So for the viewers, make sure that you guys continue to share this until the next podcast comes around. But this is something that a dialogue that definitely people need to participate in. But the next episode of the Raw and Reserve podcast is going to be Thursday, April 20th. So in a couple weeks, same time, 7:30 p.m. In
420, 420.
420. That's Bam's special holiday.
That's my brother. That's my brother's birthday, man.
All right, for sure. And in the meantime, for the viewers, the audience, continue to like, continue to react, continue to follow, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate all the support. And until next time, stay safe.